Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this video, we want to present our analysis of novel Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe. Before we start it, let us introduce ourselves. We are Apricelia Putri Nugroho and Naufalita Ardhiani. Okay, my name is Apricelia and I want to explain about type of the novel. Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe is a fiction novel with adventure and historical fiction. Even though it is a fictional novel, this novel leading many readers to believe that he, or Robinson Crusoe, was a real person and the book is a travelogue of original incidents. Next, I want to explain about characteristic of novel. Message. This novel tells a story about the long story of Robinson Crusoe's journey, who lived 28 years all alone in an inhabited island on the coast of America near the mouth of the great river of Orinoco. Having been cast on shore by shipwreck through many challenges. And then it tells us about colonization, social classes, friendships, curiosity, religion, slavery, and etc. Format paragraph. One of the format paragraph that contains the tone of speech which is described in it as being independent and objective. It only displays a little rhetorical grandeur and a slight change of poetic phrases. And it usually avoids dramatic storytelling, preferring uncovered facts. It very rarely tells his own feelings or other characters' feelings. It only happens when those feelings directly affect the situation. Subheadings. There are 20 subheadings in this novel. Chapter 1, Start in Life. Chapter 2, Slavery and Escape. Chapter 3, Wreck on a Desert Island. Chapter 4, First Weeks on the Island. Chapter 5, Builds a House, the Journal. Chapter 6, Ill and Conscience-Stricken. Chapter 7, Agricultural Experience. Chapter 8, Surveys his position. Chapter 9, A Boat. Chapter 10, Tames Goats. Chapter 11, Finds Print of Man's Foot on the Sand. Chapter 12, A Cave Retreat. Chapter 13, Wreck of a Spanish Ship. Chapter 14, A Dream Realized. Chapter 15, Friday's Education. Chapter 16, Rescue of Prisoners from Cannibals. Chapter 17, Visit of Mutineers. Chapter 18, The Ship Recovered. Chapter 19, Return to England. Chapter 20, Fight between Friday and a bear. Language. This novel is a love for everyone, includes the ordinary people like us. It also uses everyday language with combined sentences, and it uses the language which is quite easy to understand, and almost no specific poetic measures. Next, it is intrinsic elements of novel. Theme. The themes of this novel are the ambivalence of mastery, the necessity of repentance, and the importance of self-awareness. Plot. Exposition or introduction. Robinson Crusoe runs away to London without his parents' blessing and goes to sea. On his way to the Canary Island, Crusoe's ship is attacked by Turkish pirates. He becomes the Turkish captain's slave for 2 years. He escapes to Brazil where he becomes a successful farmer. Rising action. Crusoe disobeys his father and goes out to sea. Crusoe has a profitable first merchant voyage, has fantasies of success in Brazil, and prepares for a slave-gathering expedition. Climax. Crusoe becomes shipwrecked on an island near Trinidad, forcing him to survive for himself with his basic needs. Following action, Crusoe builds a shelter, secures a food supply, and accepts his stay on the island as the work of Providence. Resolution: Crusoe visits the island and resolves the conflict between the Spaniards and the English mutineers. Setting: Place: York, England, then London, then Sally, North Africa, then Brazil, then a deserted island of Trinidad, then England, then Lisbon, then overland from Spain toward England, then England, and finally the island again. Time: from 1659 to 1694.
Okay, my name is Naufalita. Here, I would like to continue explaining about the characterization of Robinson Crusoe. Robinson Crusoe is as the narrator and a protagonist or ideal role. He is also as a round character who goes through changes. Friday, who is introduced as a slave and he becomes Robinson Crusoe's friend. Friday's character is generally accepted as a flat character. But Friday also underwent some changes, so we can conclude as a round character. Surrey, who is Robinson Crusoe's first slave. Surrey's character is as a flat character. Next is point of view. It is a first-person point of view. Crusoe narrates in both the first and third person, presenting what he observes. Crusoe occasionally describes his feelings, but only when they are overwhelming. And usually he favors more factual narrative style, focused on actions and events. Next is style. 1. Vocabulary. The author used simple words like: first, I was born in the year 1632 in the city of York, of a good family, though not of that country, and my father being a foreigner of Bremen, who settled first at Hull. Second, though my mother refused to move it to my father, yet I heard afterwards that she reported all the discourse to him, and that my father, after showing a great concern at it, said to her with a sigh, that boy might be happy if he would stay at home, but if he goes abroad, he will be the most miserable wretch that ever was born. I can give no consent to it. 2. Rhythm. There's no rhythm in this novel. Next is mood or feeling. In this novel, it described some feelings like an ambitious feelings for mastery, tense, exciting, and a curiosity of the things. Extrinsic elements of novel. Author biography. Robinson Crusoe is a novel by Daniel Defoe that was first published in 1719. He was born in 1660, probably in Ford Street, London, England. His original name is Daniel Defoe. He was famous as a writer and a journalist, was educated at Rev. James Fisher's boarding school in Pixham Lane in Dorking, Surrey. When his age was 14, He was sent to Charles Merton's dissenting academy at Newington Green. He was known as a political activist and a pioneer of economic journalism. During his life, he created some novels such as Captain Singleton in 1720, Memoirs of a Cavalier in 1720, A Journal of the Plague Year in 1722, Moll Flanders in 1722, and etc. Besides novels, he also created some pamphlets or essays in prose, such as The Poor Man's Plea in 1698, The History of the Kentish Petition in 1701, The Great Law of Subordinate Considered in 1704, and etc. Next is value element. The importance of being a person in the middle class is emphasized in the beginning of the story, when Robinson Crusoe's father told and advised him not to try to rise higher, or just stay in the middle class. It is to feel better and as the best way. But then, we see that Robinson Crusoe disobeyed it and continued to pursue what he wanted. And the result is, he became a master of an island. And the last is social situation. The depth of the relationship between Crusoe and his parents in the book was specifically not elaborated upon because his parents become symbolic not only of all parents but of society. In keeping this ambiguous relationship, Defoe is able to make Crusoe's abrupt exodus much more believable and thus more human. The reader, in turn, supports Crusoe's decisions even though his social relationships were shipwrecked by the rising tide of individualism. Defoe, too, shipwrecked financially in the economic boom in England in 1962 in what he would go on to say shaped Robinson Crusoe. Okay, thank you for your attention. We apologize if there are some mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.